Hey guys, it's Cliff again. In this video, I want to talk about key bindings. So I know everybody has that initial, oh god, key bindings blow, I can't type, da 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 da. I'm telling you, I was in the same position about 2 years ago, and I hated the idea of key binding. I avoided it at all costs, same with macros, but once I made the switch, and it took a few days for me to make them and then get comfortable and familiarize myself with them and start playing with them. Once I got comfortable with them, it was such a quality of life improvement. I can't even explain to you. Like, I can't click anymore. If I had to click on my spells, on my bars, I just wouldn't play because I've become that lazy. It's a lot of work. You are putting yourself through a lot of work when you're clicking on bars. So I'm going to show you exactly how easy it can be. So what a keybind is you use the action bars that Blizz gives you, and you can use a modification add-on like the one I have. I use Dominoes. You can use Bartender for, whatever. And basically what you're telling the game is you're assigning a keyboard key, a button, to each action bar button. And so when you hit A, the game says, okay, I need to interact with the whatever is on that action bar to which A is assigned. So for my A, I have Vampiric Touch down here. And so whenever I hit A, it's going to be the same thing as me clicking it. So you can see I'm clicking on it, kind of highlights it and whatnot. Now I'm hitting A, and it's doing the exact same thing. So me tapping A and me clicking A are the exact same things. One just requires me to stop moving, number one, because now I'm moving with my mouse completely. It requires me to stop moving. It means I can't target anything, and I have to click this. Now for a dot like this where you only have to cast it, every 15 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever, it's not so bad. But whenever you're spamming something, just spamming it over and over and over again, it's a hassle, and you can't sit there and take your cursor in a legitimate fight and spam something and be able to dodge mechanics and whatnot very well. So the idea is free your cursor so you can move and cast at the same time very quickly. And also there's a bit about reaction time that I'll explain too, because if you noticed in my first video, I was you heard my keyboard just being pounded on, and there's a reason for that, and I'll explain the rationale later. So yeah, those are keybinds. You're just assigning a key to each one of your bars, and you can do this however you want. The general, the consensus is, everyone keybinds differently. Everyone has a particular way that works for them, and you should just do what's best for you. I personally prefer basing all my keybinds off ASDF on my keyboard and then working around that kind of like in a circular pattern, and try to make the most used spells on ASDF, and then everything else radiates from ASDF in order of how often I use it, how important it is. So for ASDF, I have my main go-to stuff, except Mind Blast, but I'll talk about that in a second. My two dots that I use to dot stuff up, use them all the time. Mind Flay, use it all the time. And Devouring Plague, not used as much, but it's important enough that I get it off in some play styles and Auspicious Spirits and whatnot. If you don't play a Shadow Priest, it's not important, but sometimes I have to spam that. And then Mind Blast is G, which is not on ASDF, but it's easy enough for my index finger to get, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, so I like to use that home row of keys, and you want to keep all your key bindings close to those keys, whatever your home set is, whatever your pinky, ring, middle, and index finger lie on. You're going to want to keep all your key bindings close to that, so that it isn't awkward for you to hit it real fast. You want to make sure that you can hit them really quickly, and that will, number one, it's going to help your DPS a lot. You will notice if you switch from clicking to key binding, you will notice a DPS increase because your reaction time is going to get a lot better. Um, so so now let's get into how you actually set a keybind. So if you go from, and actually let me disable my bar add-on so we can go from the default to the bar add-on. So the bar add-on I use is Dominoes. So right here, you can download it from Curse. I have all those enabled, so I'm going to disable. I'm going to show you what it looks like in the normal user interface. So you have all your bars here. You have one action bar right here, an action bar right here, and then you can have others, down through there, and you can have them set to the side. Okay, all fine and dandy, but and you can play like this. This is fine. You can still set key bindings like this, just fine. But if you want to make them really small or try to get them out of the way, I like to save screen space so that I can see more of the battlefield and see more of what's going on. So that's mainly the reason why I use the add-on Dominoes. I'm going to go back to that. So once I'm back to the add-on, I'm going to show you how to set key bindings. So the way that you set key bindings, a very easy way that you can get right to it, is you can type /KB, and then all of a sudden this binding mode is going to pop up, and you have the checkbox character specific key bindings, or if you uncheck it, those key bindings will be set to that action button on that action bar for all your characters. You really don't want to do that. These want to be character specific, unless you're going to use them for everything. But most people don't do that. I key bind things differently on every tune, so probably don't want to do that. You probably want to stick to character specific key binds. So when you're in this mode, the way that you set a key bind, and I'll go to a random button right here, is you hover over with your mouse over the button, and then you can hit a key on your keyboard that will tell the computer, okay, this is the key that's going to be mapped to that action bar button. And so right there, I guess it's a minus, but it's a different button on my keyboard. But okay, so now that's setting the keybind, and the keybind is there. So from now on, if I click OK, that button will hit that action bar. So I'm going to click OK, and you can't see it because there's nothing in there. Okay, now you can see it. It's trying to hit whatever in there. It can't use it because it can only use it outside. So that's that's what it does. Now you're asking, okay, well, I mean that sets it, but how do I add and remove and whatnot? Okay, let's go back to that. I type in /KB, and I go back to it, and I say, okay, I want to get rid of this. So I hover over it, and I hit escape, and that removes all key bindings from that action bar button. The way that you just can add whatever you want. You can also map multiple keys to the same button. Why you would want to do this, I'm not sure. I haven't come across an instance where I wanted to, so I don't think there's many. I'm sure, though, there is a reason why you can do that, though. But you can. It's possible. So yeah, now you can set, add, or remove key bindings to your action bar buttons. You can do this in the default UI as well. So yeah, let's go through a few waves, and let me talk about exactly how I'm using these key binds. So, before in the earlier video I was talking about, well, the way that I move allows me to DPS while I'm moving, and that's very true. While I'm moving in a straight or with my two mouse buttons, it opens up my keybinds so that I can hit Shadow Word Pain on all the targets and cast Cascade and not have to worry about a thing. So I don't have to use my cursor to do any of it. You can see it highlighting the action bar down there because I'm just spamming ASDF. But Now, obviously, if you have to cast something, you're going to have to stop. You're not going to be able to move. That still kind of sucks, but it just being able to cast while you move without having to click on stuff just makes it's going to make you able to DPS in situations where you couldn't DPS and with clicking. Also, to change targets, if there's only one target that I have to worry about, okay, that sucks, but if there's only one target that I have to worry about, then you can use tab. It's not a big deal. It works just fine. There's no reason not to use it. But yeah, so that's why you would use keybinds. Another thing, I know y'all are probably hearing me pound my keyboard with key bindings and hitting keys to cast spells. There's a reason why you hear a bunch of people just pounding away, and basically what's going on is we are, in order to beat the GCD, you have a GCD on your spells, and whenever you use a spell, you have to wait for the GCD to come off cooldown. Well, there's a delayed reaction between when it actually happens and when you hit it, because number one, the system, in the computer, the GCD comes off cooldown. It transmits it to the to the screen. You have to read the light coming from the screen to tell you that GCD is off cooldown. Then you got to hit the button. Well, that can cause a delay. So what players will do is you'll hear players spamming buttons to get that spell off without actually having to see that it's off cooldown. And that's why you hear me hitting the keyboard. I'm hitting that key so that I can minimize the amount of delay that I'm experiencing between getting that cast off and when it comes off cooldown. And I mean, that's nothing you really have to worry about, but that's something that key bindings also help with. And if you're trying to spam this with your mouse button, that gets really tiring after a while. Or at least it feels more tiring doing it with the mouse button. Especially when you have to move, spam one thing, then spam another, and then move, spam, it just gets a little let's see. I mean, that's basically it. Like I said, create your home row, just like in typing, ASDF, something like that. It could be, QWER or 1 2 3 4, whatever works for you. Sometimes you have modified keyboards where it's you have special keys for gaming that you can whatever works for you, but it's definitely better to use key bindings than not use key bindings. I hope this helped. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll be happy to go over anything. Yeah, thanks guys.